Hello and welcome guys to the AFL Gameday Squad YouTube channel. My name is Callum and I'm the host of the AFL Gameday Squad series. Today I'm joined by Tom and Kerm, who also partner me in working for Gameday Squad, Australia's first and only blockchain fantasy game. It's launching late this year with an AFL and NRL fantasy platform. Guys, I'm super excited to be able to debut. I'm excited that you guys are on here with me. We're going to be doing a bit of a breakdown in preparation for the launch of AFL Gameday Squad, and we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into all AFL teams, going through how they went last year and how they're looking this year as we prepare ourselves for the launch of Gameday Squad. Today we're going to be starting off with the Adelaide Crows. Bit of a mixed season. I'm keen to get into it, but before we do that, I wanted to throw to you guys to give our viewers and listeners a bit of an intro into what actual Gameday Squad is and what you guys are most excited about for our launch in late December. Kerm, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, mate. The thing I'm most excited for the launch is just getting stuck into opening some packs and filling my squad out. I can't think of anything better, so I'm really keen to open some packs and hopefully get that Diamond Took Miller.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait for all the pack openings and everything. But for me personally, I'm heavily invested into crypto, and the fact that this game is going to bring the blockchain, NFTs, and all of the things I love, fantasy, all into one. The best thing about it though is you don't even have to know about the blockchain. You don't have to know about cryptos. The players you keep are transferable per season. You know, you're going to keep them forever, and we have a marketplace where you can exchange these players and sell them for actual money, or try to go buy other players to replace them for your team. I can't wait for that element of mixing all those things together and then having a fantasy game on top of it.
Yeah, I can't wait, guys. I can't wait. Launching soon. If you haven't heard of us before, go check us out, GameDaySquad.com.au, or of course, Gameday Squad on any of our socials. Guys, what do you reckon? Time to get game day ready and start off with the Crows?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's get into
Game day ready.
Okay, guys, we'll take a bit of a deep dive now into Adelaide Crows and how they went in 2021. For those who don't remember, they were actually the equal favourites to win the Spoon with North Melbourne after coming off an absolute shocking year. Me personally, I loved it as a Port fan last year, so I was hoping for another one where they were fighting for the Spoon again, but they actually had a better year than we were thinking that they were going to have. So for those who don't remember, they came out of the blocks absolutely firing, beat the Cats in round one, got off to a 3-1 start. Everyone was talking about Tex Walker kicking 100 goals. They even beat the Demons by a point in a classic in round 10, and unfortunately just the squad just didn't have the depth to take it through, and they ended up finishing with 7 wins and 15th spot, which maybe, again, we'll get into whether we think that did them justice. It was, definitely at their best they looked very good, but then at the other side they looked quite young and inexperienced. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bit of a deep dive into who we thought were the stars of the season and who was our biggest disappointment, and we'll come around and give the whole team a grade. Kerm, do you want to kick it off? Who was your star for the 2021 Crows season?
So I'm going to take Paul Seedsman here. He finally had himself a full season and had a career-high 21 touches a game, which helped him to a 95.6 fantasy average, which is also a career high. He spent a lot of time occupying the wing, and with the help of some health, which has always been his biggest knock, he really did have a really good year and found himself into a lot of fantasy teams, starting teams. So, yeah, I'm taking Paul Seedsman.
It was great to see him back on the pitch, playing the footy that we know that he can play. But I'm going to take the obvious pick here, guys, because we can't not talk about him. It's Rory Laird. What a season that this guy had. It's his best fantasy season he's had since playing in the AFL. I loved what I saw from him on the field. He's a very dominant player. He gets his work done early in games. He starts off hot. He continues that all the way through. He's an energy type of player. He averaged 127 fantasy points per game. Fantasy owners would be extremely happy with that, chucking him in the midfield. But yeah, it has to be my pick. It's a bit obvious, but it is what it is. Rory Laird was a star.
He was. Yeah, absolutely. Killed it this year. And someone else who just fell just short of that 127 is my star, and that's Benny Keys. Who ended up averaging himself 126 Game Day Squad points. And for those who don't know, we've referenced Game Day Squad, our points. So Game Day Squad, of course, is a new game launching. If you're unfamiliar with our points system, head over to our website and we've got it all there on one of our blogs outlining. We'll put a link in the description here as well. But guys, Benny Keys, he played all 22 games, and I reckon by the end of the year, he was the first name on the team sheet. He was absolutely killing it. He'd get 28 touches a game. He'd make 6 tackles, which was just massive, massive increase. He's always in and around it. And yeah, just a massive step up from the 74 points he would have averaged in 2020. So big improvement for him, and he's my star of the year. On the other side, though, talking about a few of things that didn't go well. Kerm, who have you got as your 2021 Crows disappointment?
Yeah, this one sort of hurts because I've really enjoyed following this guy throughout his career, but it's unfortunately Rory Sloane. Going into the season, owners of Sloane would have wanted him to average at least mid-90s to 100s, but he missed that by some way, averaging only 86, a sum far below what Sloane owners would have been looking for. So unfortunately, Rory Sloane.
And for me, guys, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here with this statement, but it's going to be Tex Walker. And it's not because I think he had a terrible fantasy season. He averaged just around that 90 AFL fantasy points per game, which is not terrible for a key forward. It ranks quite well, actually, in the league. But for me, personally, it was the off-field issues and his intent in the game. Like we mentioned before, how hot the Crows came out at the start of the year and how he had potential. People were talking about he's going to kick 100. He didn't even kick half of that, unfortunately. Of course, team success does play into that a lot. You need to be given the ball. But I didn't like his intent on the field. I don't think he's trending in the right direction. And overall, for that season, he's my biggest disappointment coming out of that team.
Yeah, and
Very
that
true.
trending in the right direction. It's going to be, is that a sign of things to come in future segments? Stay tuned. Guys, I took a bit of a different approach, and I've given my disappointment of the year to probably someone who didn't deserve it for his on-field stuff. Not in the same way that I'm going to say off-field for Tex Walker, but unfortunately Tom Lynch, who had an absolutely fantastic season while he was playing, but he could just only get on the park for 12 games. So for those who don't know, he would have gone on to average 84 points a game, which was good enough for the 10th best forward average in Gameday Squad. So it was definitely one of those cases of when he was playing, he was absolutely fantastic, and to actually finish the season, he had four games of 85 plus points, which is just phenomenal. But unfortunately, surgery, I think toe surgery, derailed his career, derailed his season, and he's actually ended up retiring and actually got himself a coaching job over at North as well. So unfortunately, not the way that he wanted to go out, but an end of a great career, and no more Tom Lynch, no more 2 Tom Lynches in our game anymore, which I know confuses a lot of people. So
Yes.
You could probably do a job
so-
at North, which is scary.
yeah.
They need him. They do need him.
Yeah.
They could even play,
don't
realistically.
don't get into a fight with North fans. On Twitter, they We'll leave that one. We can't start this one off with having North fans hate us. We'll get to you guys. Don't you worry, guys. I wanted to wrap up how we did our review for this season by having a look at the grade that we gave the Crows for the season. So I'm going to kick things off. I've actually given them a B+. Based on where they were, and based on, again, as a Port fan, I was really hoping for another year at the bottom, but they looked really good. They had some massive wins, and I was going through and analysing their season, and they did. They only got 7 wins, but there was never real games where they got absolutely blown out, and they were always in and around it. And I think the youngest squad in the AFL, and the second youngest experience amount of games played heading into the season. So to finish 15th, I think is a little bit higher than they thought, and I think they should get a reward for that. Where'd you guys have them?
I gave them a D+, which might come across pretty harsh, but they just seem like a shell of what they once were back when they made the grand final in 2017. They seem to be holding on to a lot of players and expecting the same output that those players gave them back in 2017 to this day. They missed Matt Crouch as well, and they lost Brad Crouch in the off-season before the 2021 season, but the quality of output that the players were putting out on the field just wasn't there for me, so I gave them a D+.
Yeah, which is fair enough. And my grading's going to be quite similar to yours, Kerm. It's going to be a C-. Now, we had a look at the losses there. They were 15, 7 wins. They came out hot. The reason I gave them a C- is because I think they have a lot of upside in their team. We did mention the youth, Callum, before. They have a lot of young guns coming through, trying to find their identity in the league, and are probably going to get a bigger opportunity coming into next season. So I do think there's a couple of good things circulating around that club, but just based off performance alone, I had to give them a C-.
Yep. Interesting. I thought, so you can't come after me, Crows fans, but they still remain quite easily the number 2 team in Adelaide. Guys, moving on to 2022 predictions for the Adelaide Crows. If you haven't already checked out our blog on GameDaySquad.com.au, where we highlighted the importance of just how much a team success has on individual players' fantasy output, go check it out. We do talk about how it's important for a team that if you want to win now, or if in our fantasy model going long term it is, you want to look into that and build your team around a team that is going to be successful, go check it out. But where we sit with the Crows at the moment, you can see our predictions there. We have them coming back up after they've bottomed out after losing the grand final a few years ago. And they're sort of in that rebuilding phase. They're not quite at the bottom. We think they're going to start moving forward. But we ultimately think they're going to finish about 15th next year. You think that's about fair, Kerm?
Yeah. The reason I gave this prediction was because I just don't think they've brought enough talent in. I don't think Jordan Dawson's going to be enough as good as he is. So that was my reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
I think this prediction is pretty fair that we have. I think the ceiling might be a little bit high, especially with the outs of Lynch and, we don't know the status of Tex, but 15 is good for them. They got some young guns. I can see them maintaining the same sort of play they did from last year.
Yeah, definitely going to be a hard team to pick going forward next year because, like you said, they've just had lots of changeover, lots of you never know with a young team as well. They can always come out like the Swans did. All their young players, year 1, year 2, they've just shot out of the block. So you can be in a situation like North. Again, don't want to upset the poor North fans. But guys, we're going to move on to some of the players now, where we're going to highlight who we actually think are some of our highlighted players who are going to make up our team from round 1 in 2022 on Game Day Squad. Who are some players we have knocking on the door, and who's someone you've already got a big red line through their name and you're not going to be touching it between now and basically for the rest of the season? Kerm, you want to kick us off with your predictions we can see there?
Yeah, mate, yeah. So starting at my 22, I'm going to have Jordan Dawson. He's only 24 years of age and he's always improving. Adelaide brought him in because he's so elite using the ball by foot. And with his 22.4 disposals a game last year, 15.4 of those were with his foot. So if he can get those kick-ins from behind and keep getting the ball, I think he's going to be an elite option for your fantasy team. Knocking on my door, I actually have no one. I can't see any of the young guys that they have making it near my team. Jordan Dawson would be if he wasn't already in my 22. But for knocking on my door, I don't really have anyone. And for players to avoid, this is a little bit of a maybe against the tide pick, and he's my MVP as well from the season just gone. It's Paul Seedsman, and it's just purely because of age and injury. He's 29 now. He can't stay healthy outside of last year, and that's just as simple as that.
One and done season.
That's very contradicting.
A bit of a brutal pick. Pick.
Wow. I'll have to let you know what my picks are, guys. So, someone that must be in my lineup last year was my MVP from the year prior. Has to be Laird. We already mentioned the stats. He's a defender / midfield eligible player. His role on the team is so important for their success. And going forward, if the Crows are going to come off the bottom and end up making the finals, he will be a big part of it. There's someone knocking on my door, and it's the big man of the team. It's Riley O'Brien.
I like
He's seen
it.
a floor of 94 fantasy points per game in the past 3 seasons. And we've just mentioned how bad the Crows have been after the grand final. They've been through some tough times. And if your floor is 94, with the injury-ridden midfield, I would love to see what your ceiling could be with a healthy midfield. We've already mentioned all the young guns that are at the team. I can see that production going up. And if he can creep into that sort of 100 mark, that puts him in that sort of elite range of ruckmans in the league. And is a player that should be in my team. And one to avoid, don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's Tex Walker. I flamed him a little bit here. I do want to mention, I do love the player. He was so good watching growing up. But I think it's the end of an era. His time has come. And yeah, they're my picks for this segment.
I like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, Walker's not getting any Christmas cards from you this year. But I'll double down on that. Guys, he's my avoiding player. I just think, yeah, if we have seen the best of Tex Walker from a fantasy point of view, and we know how important goals are for Game Day Squad and the scoring, but yeah, I just don't see him scoring more than sort of 50, 55 goals ever again. I'd like to say prove me wrong, but I hope he doesn't. I hope the Crows are down there for a few more years, but yeah, just he's my player out. And I'm going to flip. I'm going to actually tell you, I've got no players from the Crows in my team for next season.
Ooh.
Bit harsh again. Yeah, Rory Laird you'd think would be there, but he's actually not. I've had a look at my best 22. No Crows players make it, but I do have Keys, my MVP, and Laird both knocking on the door. And I think Laird would kind of be my safe pick. He'd be the one that I'd put in my team and I'd go after to have that sort of, almost like he's like 23rd, 24th on my list, kind of my next man up. Whereas Keys is more that player. If I could get a good bargain for him on the transfer market, or if I could pack him, then he's the type of player that I'd love to have because his upside is, like I said, is quite good. So yeah, they're my picks for the 2022 season.
Love those picks, mate.
Love it.
Okay, the last segment we're going to dive into here is the dynasty potential of the Adelaide Crows. So finally, for those guys who don't know, one of the big features we have with Game Day Squad is that you can actually buy your player cards and you'll carry that player card, you own it, and you'll have it for as long as you want it. You want to sell it, trade it, you do what you want. So there is the opportunity where you can go after a future player that you think is a bit of a diamond in the rough, or you think that someone's going to have huge upside, and you can carry them through and really reap the rewards when they start becoming a bit of a fantasy star. So I think that's a good place for us to start. Kerm, did you want to chuck away who you have as your future star in this current Crows squad?
Yeah, so I've mentioned him already, and I'm so high on him that I'm going to be looking to get a diamond Jordan Dawson. I think he's going to be a stalwart for your team for a long time, and he's someone you should be looking to get in and hold on to for as long as you're playing.
That's a great pick.
For sure.
That's a great
my pick. I'm not sure if I can go beyond diamond in terms of the card tiers for the Crows. We did talk about there's a lot of upside, but there are a lot of if, whats, and buts.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'll be taking a diamond Ben Keys. Now, I know you're big on him, Callum. You've mentioned him before. I'm big on him as well. I like what I saw from the guy this year. His role within the midfield, if it stays the same, because they have Matt Crouch coming back, there could be some issues there with how many minutes that he is going to get. Will he have a full workload? If he does, we can expect the same, if not better, numbers from him next year. And as he develops, he's only 24. As he continues to develop into a star, we could see some really good production for a lot of years to come. And that would be an absolute steal, getting a diamond Ben Keys.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. It would be fantastic if you could pack him. For those that don't know, Diamond is our second highest tier, and there are only 10 cards for each player for that tier, which means after me and Kerm both have Jordan Dawson, there's only going to be 8 Jordan Dawsons left for Diamonds. Because he's my star as well, guys. He's 24, and I got to watch him play firsthand for the Swans this year, and he was just phenomenal. He actually finished 3rd in the Swans' best and fairest, and you have a look at that team and you go, that's pretty impressive. And like you said, Kerm, what if he starts taking kick-ins? What if he starts getting more of the footy and starts moving into the midfield? Like, the upside on this guy is amazing. You can see some of the stats we've got there. 64th ranked already. He was actually the 13th best defender in all the competition. He's only played 64 games. Wild.
He could be scary good, man. Sky's the limit for him in terms of what a defender can put out in fantasy terms, but to the point where I think he's the top 3 user of the footy in the league, and that's a big call.
Yeah, and I sat there and I went, is he the type of person I would spend the money and chase after for the one-of-one legend card? I'm like, I can't do that for everyone, obviously. Everyone will be fighting me for him. But I do think there's a lot of upside in this guy. And if someone said, hey, listen, I'm going to build my team, my defence around him, I'd be like, yeah, I completely see that. So
I'll tell you what as well, guys. As a Swans fan, this really hurts me. I'm sure there's other Swans fans here sitting here being like, why are we talking about this? He should have been a Swanee. We should have locked him up. He's a great player. It's really a shame to see him go. And I know how good he is, and I know how good he's going to be. So it hurts a lot, but I wish all the best for him.
I was nervous to mention that you were a Swans fan.
Yeah, look, it hurts, man, but it is what it is. We've got to take that one on the chin, and we just move forward. So,
Yeah.
Girlfriend's a Swannies fan as well, and she was very disappointed that Dawson was left. I tried to console her and be like, it's all right, you get him Laddams back. I can't repeat what she said back to that, but yeah. So, no, massive loss, but yeah, what's the Swans' loss? It's definitely the Crows' gain, but Jordan Dawson's obviously the slam dunk pick here, guys, but moving on to some picks who we think could have some real upside. So with Game Day Squad, you can obviously hold players. You don't have to be playing them. You can have an extended squad, very similar to like a FIFA Ultimate Team if you've ever come across that before, where you can actually hold a player for as long as you want, and you can have them in your team, you can play them, you can trade them. So who are some players that you want to start building out your squad with that hopefully in the future you think have a lot of upside and could turn a bit higher in value, or potentially people you actually want in your 22 as you go for premierships?
Yeah, so I was sort of throwing blind at a dartboard here, trying to look through their list. And I looked through, they've got the 4th overall pick right now as we record. So if they have that, I'll be looking to see who they pick with that. Otherwise, Riley Thilthorpe is my pick here. Traditionally, key position players don't score as well as your dual position players or midfielders. But Thilthorpe looks like he's a little bit more than just your traditional key forward. He does a lot of pitch hitting ruckman, gets up the field a lot. They like it with his ball in his hands. And he can score a bag as well, so I'm going to be watching him closely. Not in my starting team, but he'll be in and around my squad.
Yeah, and number 2 pick from the 2020 draft. Yeah, plenty of upside for him as well.
Yeah.
Tom, who have you got?
Kerm, I love how you brought up that pick in the draft, mate, because that is going to be my upside pick for this team.
Cool.
Now, they need to be very strategic here with who they take, because as I mentioned before, there's a huge void that they need to fill in this team. With the exit of Lynch and potentially Tex Walker as well, they need a key forward. They need someone who can run up the field, take some big contested grabs, kick some goals to them, fill this hole that Tex Walker's going to leave and Lynch is going to leave. And they're going to be slotted straight into the lineup and getting big minutes. There's not going to be a lot of competition for their position within the team. So I see them coming in early and coming out the gates hot.
Well, can't wait to see who they take with that one.
That's
I hope they take a midfielder or a defender or something now. Complete your turning around.
Mate, you would hope they'll take a forward, hey, with what's going on. But if they do take a midfielder and defender, I'll be very disappointed with their draft.
Yeah, stay tuned. Draft coming up next month. Guys, the guy I'm going with, not someone that was actually picked very high in the draft, and that's Lockie Scholl. Picked up 64th in the 2018 draft, and although he's still only 21, but he's one of those. He's one of the only rare players in the league to have won multiple Rising Star nominations. I think he's had a lot of upside. He is getting better. 8 games last year, 19 games this year. And for me, when I saw him, it was against North. Again, sorry, hating on the North fans, but he scored 145 Game Day Squad points against them. Absolutely killed it, kicked it, teed off, and I'm like, who's this fellow? And yeah, he didn't have the consistency that you'd be looking for in someone in your team. But I saw that game and I was like, geez, if that's the sort of output he can get on a consistent basis, he'd very quickly turn around my no Crows players in my starting 22. So some few upside potential picks. We're keen to see if any of them make into your squad. And of course, if there's someone in the Crows that you think we've missed here, please comment below. We'd love to find extra picks that we could build out our team with. So guys, what I want to finish off, again, coming back to that team success, we know how important it is. We can see here on our tier, we've got the Crows sitting at the 3rd. And to explain this is where we think, where do the Crows, ranking of them against all the other teams in the AFL, how successful do we think the next 3 to 5 years are going to be? So with that, we go Tier 1 teams, your teams that we think can compete for multiple premierships. Tier 2 teams are someone that can compete for a premiership. Tier 3 is someone that you think maybe top 4 is kind of the ceiling. And then Tier 4 are teams we don't think in the next 3 to 5 years are going to be competing at all. What do you think how we've got them there, Kerm?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'd have them lower in the Tier 3 sort of area, but I don't think that Tier 4 at all. They've got, as we said, they've got a few young pieces and some draft capital that we are yet to see. So yeah, I think Tier 3 is fair.
I think for me, Callum, if you just want to drag that jersey down, just keep going down to Tier 4 for me. I don't see these guys being a top 4 competitor within the next 3 to 5 years. I think they have a ways to go. Look, they might prove me wrong, and for the Crows fans out there, I hope they do, for your sake. But I'll have to rank them at tier 4 from what I've seen and what I saw last year. I'm sorry, guys, but it's harsh, I know, but that's what I'm going with.
Well, get your hate mail in, guys.
Yeah, there's no social medias going out yet.
Yeah, please hit up Tom and let him know that.
Hey,
he's
look,
right.
I'd love to be optimistic and put everyone in the top 2 tiers, but unfortunately, not every team is going to make the finals every year, and I've got to be harsh with this one.
True.
So that's my pick. Tier 4 it is. What about you, Callum? What have you got?
Yeah, I think where we've got them there is about right. I do think that I could be wrong and that they could be competing for a premiership, and I do love Jordan Dawson. I think he's a fantastic player, but I don't know if he's the sort of player that single-handedly can lift you to a premiership. I do think they need someone else to be your Bont or your Petrarca that really sort of can grab a game. Jordan Dawson's fantastic to have, but yeah, he's not that player for me. So until the Crows have that player, I will have them in tier 3. So that wraps up our review of the Adelaide Crows. We're going to be doing one of these for every other team in the competition. Same sort of format. Get you guys game day ready for the Game Day Squad launch in December 2021. This year we're getting ahead of ourselves. If you haven't checked us out again, Game Day Squad, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more of this content as we're looking to start building out our fantasy knowledge for you guys so you can get yourselves ready. So yeah, cheers guys, until we see you next time, get game day ready.